The Rights of Man is a book written by Thomas Paine, first published in 1791. This book is a defense of the French Revolution and its principles, as well as a critique of the British government. Paine's argument is centered around the natural rights of man, and he asserts that these rights should form the basis of any just and fair society. The book is divided into two parts. The first part is a response to Edmund Burke's Reflections on the Revolution in France, which was published in 1790 and criticized the French Revolution as a threat to traditional values and institutions. The second part of the book outlines Paine's vision for a just society, based on the principles of natural rights and representative government. Part 1. In Part 1 of The Rights of Man, Paine sets out to refute Burke's arguments against the French Revolution. Paine begins by arguing that the rights of man are inherent and natural, rather than granted by government or society. He asserts that all people have the right to life, liberty, and property, and that any government that violates these rights is unjust. Paine then takes aim at Burke's argument that the French Revolution was an attack on traditional values and institutions. He argues that the revolution was not an attack on these things, but rather an attempt to restore them to their original purpose. Paine points out that the French monarchy had become corrupt and oppressive, and that the revolution was a necessary response to this corruption. Paine also addresses Burke's concern that the French Revolution would lead to anarchy and chaos. He argues that the revolution was necessary to establish a just society, and that any temporary chaos that may have resulted was a small price to pay for the greater good. Part 2. In Part 2 of The Rights of Man, Paine outlines his vision for a just society, based on the principles of natural rights and representative government. He argues that government should exist to protect the natural rights of its citizens, rather than to impose its will upon them. Paine also asserts that the best way to ensure that government serves the interests of the people is through representative government. Paine argues that the best way to establish representative government is through a system of free and fair elections. He asserts that all citizens should have the right to vote, regardless of their social status or wealth. Paine also argues that elected representatives should serve for a limited period of time, in order to prevent them from becoming corrupt or too powerful. Paine also addresses the issue of property rights in Part 2. He argues that property rights are necessary to ensure that individuals are able to pursue their own interests and to create wealth. However, he also asserts that property rights should be limited by the principle of useful employment. Paine argues that it is unjust for individuals to accumulate vast amounts of wealth without contributing to the common good. Conclusion. In The Rights of Man, Thomas Paine presents a compelling argument for the natural rights of man, as well as a vision for a just and fair society based on these principles. His book was influential in shaping the political and social landscape of the time, and continues to be relevant to modern debates about democracy, human rights, and social justice. Impact and legacy. The Rights of Man had a significant impact on the political and social landscape of the late 18th and early 19th centuries. Paine's ideas about natural rights, representative government, and social justice inspired political movements and revolutions around the world. The book was widely read and discussed in Europe and America, and helped to shape the political and social movements of the time. In particular, The Rights of Man was a major influence on the French Revolution and the subsequent development of French democracy. Paine's ideas about natural rights and representative government were embraced by French revolutionaries, who sought to establish a democratic government that served the interests of the people. The book was also influential in the United States, where Paine was an important figure in the development of the American Revolution and the subsequent establishment of the American Republic. Paine's ideas about natural rights and limited government were embraced by many American revolutionaries, and helped to shape the U.S. Constitution and Bill of Rights. Criticism and controversy. Despite its many achievements, The Rights of Man was not without its critics. Many conservative politicians and thinkers denounced the book as a dangerous and radical work that threatened traditional values and institutions. In particular, Edmund Burke's critique of the book in Reflections on the Revolution in France became widely read and influential. In addition to its political controversy, The Rights of Man was also criticized for its treatment of women and people of color. Paine's vision of a just society was largely limited to white men, and his ideas about property rights and wealth accumulation often excluded those who were not part of the propertied classes. Despite these criticisms, The Rights of Man remains an important and influential work in the history of political thought. Its ideas about natural rights, representative government, and social justice continue to be relevant and inspiring to modern readers and thinkers. Here are 7 lessons that can be learned from The Rights of Man. Natural rights. One of the primary lessons of The Rights of Man is the importance of natural rights. Paine argues that these rights are inherent and inalienable, and that any government that violates them is unjust. This lesson reminds us that individuals have certain fundamental rights that must be respected and protected by any just society. Representative government. Paine's vision of a just society is based on the principle of representative government. He argues that elected representatives should serve the interests of the people, rather than their own interests or the interests of a select few. This lesson teaches us the importance of democratic governance and the need for elected officials to be accountable to their constituents. Limited government. Another important lesson of The Rights of Man is the need for limited government. Paine argues that government should exist to protect the natural rights of its citizens, rather than to impose its will upon them. This lesson reminds us that government should be a servant of the people, rather than their master. The role of property. Paine's ideas about property rights are also instructive. He argues that individuals have the right to accumulate wealth, but that this right is limited by the principle of useful employment. This lesson teaches us the importance of balancing individual rights with the common good, and the need for individuals to contribute to society in order to justify their accumulation of wealth. Social justice. The Rights of Man is also a powerful argument for social justice. Paine's vision of a just society is one in which all individuals have equal rights and opportunities, regardless of their social status or wealth. This lesson reminds us of the importance of treating all people with dignity and respect, and of working to create a society that is fair and just for all. Courage and conviction. Paine's defense of the French Revolution and his critique of the British government required courage and conviction. This lesson teaches us the importance of standing up for what we believe in, even in the face of opposition or adversity. The power of ideas. Finally, The Rights of Man is a testament to the power of ideas. Paine's book helped to shape the political and social landscape of the time, and his ideas continue to inspire and influence people around the world. This lesson reminds us that ideas have the power to shape our world and our future, and that we should never underestimate the impact of our own ideas and beliefs. If you're looking for a thought-provoking and inspiring read that challenges you to rethink the role of government and the rights of individuals in society, then The Rights of Man by Thomas Paine is the book for you. With its powerful defense of natural rights, representative government, and social justice, this influential work has inspired political movements and revolutions around the world. Click the link in the description to get your copy of this must-read book today, and discover for yourself why The Rights of Man remains one of the most important works of political thought in history. We hope you enjoyed this summary of The Rights of Man by Thomas Paine. If you found this video informative and thought-provoking, please hit the like button and share it with your friends and family. By doing so, you'll help spread the word about this important book and its ideas. And if you want to see more book summaries like this, please subscribe to our channel. We're committed to bringing you engaging and informative summaries of the most important books in history, philosophy, politics, and more. So don't miss out on our latest videos. Hit the subscribe button now and join our community of avid readers and learners.